Bombshell: Julio Martínez Julito links Zapatero with the illegal financing of Pedro Sánchez's PSOE through Venezuela. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares. And pay close attention, because Julito Martínez is spilling the beans. And in the statement he submitted in the last few hours to the judge of the National Court, José Luis Calama, shortly before testifying this Tuesday, he reveals another extremely important and serious issue, which is the connection of the former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, with the financing. The illegal financing of Pedro Sánchez's PSOE party through Venezuela. You heard that right. We are going to share on screen that statement from the businessman Julio Martínez, known as Julito, which certainly leaves Zapatero on the brink. First of all, if you haven't done it yet, remember to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel, as we are already on our way to 142,000 subscribers. And we're going to put on screen now this statement that, as we said, Julio Martínez has submitted to the judge of the National Court, José Luis Calama, before whom he will testify this Tuesday. In the previous video, we talked about the first part of the statement, but in the second part of the statement, there's also a bombshell, which is the connection between Zapatero and Francisco Flores. Those of you who follow this Medidas Cautelares channel will recognize Francisco Flores. Francisco Flores is the one who is connected to the company. Apamate, does that sound familiar to you? Apamate, this company that we revealed exclusively, which would be the key piece in the illegal financing of the PSOE. With the famous oil quotas from Venezuela, from PDVSA, worth $250 million. Well, let's get into the details of this 6-page document. And let's go to the section where Julio Martínez links Zapatero to that illegal financing from Venezuela. Through the key figure, the supposedly deceased banker linked to Chavismo, Francisco Flores. He talks about the clients of Análisis Relevante, which is Julio Martínez's company, through which those illegal commissions from Zapatero for the bailout by Pedro Sánchez's government to the company Plus Ultra would have been channeled. And among the clients of Análisis Relevante in this 6-page document, Julio Martínez mentions Softgestor. What does this company say? It says, in parallel with the relationship with Plus Ultra, Mr. Rodríguez Zapatero brought Softgestor SL to Análisis Relevante, a company linked to the late Venezuelan businessman Mr. Francisco Flores. A standard contract was signed between both companies, with the same corporate purpose as the one that appears in the Plus Ultra contract. Because, as Julio Martínez will explain, Francisco Flores was very interested in receiving direct advice of the former president, Rodríguez Zapatero, whom he had met in Venezuela and with whom he had a good relationship. A quick aside. Who was the first person to talk about Francisco Flores? None other than Víctor de Aldama. Víctor de Aldama, in his sworn statement last March before the judge of the National Court. Ismael Moreno, who is the one investigating the illegal financing of the PSOE, already said that the key figure in this whole story was Francisco Flores, a banker, a businessman linked to Chavismo, supposedly deceased last February, and owner or connected to a company called Apamate. Through Apamate, the $250 million in PDVSA quotas were channeled from the Venezuelan state company PDVSA, which ended up illegally financing the Socialist International presided over by Pedro Sánchez and Pedro Sánchez's own Socialist Party. As we exclusively revealed in Medidas Cautelares and Libertad Digital, those funds were channeled through bank accounts in Panama, in Russia, and through those who helped handle it from Spain. It was, on one hand, the former Minister of Transport and right-hand man of Pedro Sánchez, José Luis Ábalos, in the first instance, and the former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, in the second instance. Let's say that Ábalos handled it first, something happened, and then Zapatero picked it back up through that company, Apamate. The payments for those PDVSA oil quotas worth $250 million were diverted, which ultimately served to finance Pedro Sánchez's Socialist Party and the Socialist International. That's why this investigation into Francisco Flores into that company called Apamate, which is under investigation, is so relevant. On one hand, by the UCO, the Central Operational Unit of the Civil Guard, within the framework of Judge Moreno's investigation into the illegal financing of the PSOE, and on the other hand, by the Economic and Fiscal Crime Unit of the National Police, UDEF. Within the Plus Ultra case investigation, we can already refer to it as the Zapatero case. Right? Therefore, Francisco Flores, according to Julio Martínez, had a very good relationship with Zapatero. And Zapatero, since he is connected with Francisco Flores, recommended the hiring of Francisco Flores through this company, Soft Gestor. So in the end, we're talking about the same thing. The ramifications of all the corruption surrounding the Socialist Party, Pedro Sánchez, and José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero. But, aside from Soft Gestor, this company owned by Francisco Flores, also in the document sent by Julio Martínez to Judge Calama before his statement, there are other references to other clients of the company Análisis Relevante. In this, the defense of Julio Martínez, led by the lawyer María Dolores Márquez de Prado, talks about Inteligencia Prospectiva, which is another company that might sound familiar to you, right? It says that in mid-2020, the company Alaska y Limitada, later called Inteligencia Prospectiva, signed a contract with Análisis Relevante identical to the previous ones. This company belongs to the Amaro Chacón brothers, citizens of Venezuelan origin who were residing in Spain at that time. Just like with the other clients, the relationship with the Amaro family came through Mr. Rodríguez Zapatero. The Amaro brothers decided to hire Zapatero's consulting services, and Mr. Martínez traveled to Venezuela on numerous occasions to handle matters related to their affairs in that country. Starting in 2023, they did not renew the contract with Análisis Relevante and maintained a direct relationship with Mr. Rodríguez Zapatero. Another client, Aldesa, according to Julio Martínez's defense, finally, the fourth company that hired Análisis Relevante services in the last quarter of 2021 was Grupo Aldesa S.A., which continued with Análisis Relevante until the first quarter of 2023. On October 1, 2021, an advisory contract identical to the previous ones was signed between Análisis Relevante and Grupo Aldesa S.A. They received a fee for these services of 5,000 euros per month plus VAT. The real purpose of the assignment was for Zapatero to personally advise the company for any issues that might arise. Last point, cash found at the home of Julio Martínez. You already know that during the operation by the UDF, the Economic and Fiscal Crime Unit of the police, well, there was also a search precisely at the home of Julio Martínez, the partner, frontman, friend, whatever you want to call him, of Zapatero. Well, in this document, the defense of Julio Martínez says that, as for the cash, about 286,000 euros found at the residence on Diego de León Street in Madrid, where Julio Martínez lived. This is money obtained from the sale of real estate assets, not related to the events under investigation in this case. And this is the information we revealed in Medidas Cautelares. Businessman Julio Martínez Julito confirms the close relationship between the former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero and the banker linked to Chavismo who supposedly passed away last February, Francisco Flores, who was a key figure in the alleged illegal financing of the Socialist Party with funds coming from Nicolás Maduro's Venezuelan regime. As we exclusively revealed in Medidas Cautelares and in Libertad Digital, Francisco Flores was the businessman linked to the company Apamate, and through Apamate itself, oil quotas worth 250 euros were channeled. Millions of dollars that were used to finance Pedro Sánchez's Socialist International and also Pedro Sánchez's own Socialist Party. An important revelation made by the businessman Julio Martínez to Judge Calama shortly before his statement as a person under investigation this Tuesday. Of course, any updates about everything that happens tomorrow in that statement by Julio Martínez before Judge Calama in the context of the Zapatero case, the Plus Ultra case, you will have them here on Medidas Cautelares. That's all for this edition of Medidas Cautelares. I hope you liked it, that you enjoyed it, and if so, you already know that you can leave your comments, your opinions, subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Click on the bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. And of course, you can become members in the Chosen tier for less than 4 euros a month and in the Supreme tier for less than 8 euros a month. You can also make contributions via Bitcoin at the number 627556370, 627556370. The most important thing, as I always say, is that this information reaches everyone because information is power. See you soon.